If this video showed up for you, it's not a coincidence. It's vibrational resonance. Something inside you is already ready to hear what the world tried to make you forget. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, following what they say is the path, and still, everything feels stuck? You meet your obligations, try to think positive, repeat gratitude phrases, but it feels like the universe isn't responding, like you're knocking on a door that never opens. But what no one told you is that this door isn't locked from the outside. And this is where everything changes. Most people go through life trying to control the external: work, money, time, other people. But they ignore the most decisive point of reality, the vibration they're silently giving off right now. Yes, you're vibrating all the time, even when you're quiet, even when you're distracted. Your field is putting out a frequency that effortlessly shapes everything you attract. And the universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you vibrate. This is the truth that was left by Thoth. A truth so powerful it was forgotten, distorted, and hidden for centuries. But now, it's found you. And if you stick around until the end, you'll learn how to activate this frequency within you, consciously, and use that vibration as a silent magnet for new realities. This technique isn't magic, but it has the power to change how reality responds to you from this moment forward. So take a breath, because what's coming next will show you why nothing seemed to work before, and how from now on everything can start to flow. The energy you radiate determines the world you perceive. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to move reality with ease? That everything flows, doors open, opportunities show up at the right time, while others, no matter how hard they try, just go through life dragging it along. Nothing fits. Everything is stuck. But it's not luck. It's not a gift. There's a law behind it, a law that has always existed but was hidden, distorted, ignored. A law that the ancients called the foundation of everything. And Thoth, the master of all ages, made it very clear. Everything vibrates. Everything that exists vibrates at a certain rhythm, an intensity, a specific frequency, from the most distant stars to the most invisible cell in your body. Nothing is still. Nothing is solid. Nothing is fixed. What we call reality is actually a set of vibrations organized into patterns, and the key to transforming anything lies there. It's not force, it's frequency. The law of vibration is the first that gives rise to the others. It's the silent gear behind creation, behind the collapse of matter, behind the manifestation of events. And whoever knows this law doesn't have to live by effort anymore, doesn't have to rely on luck, on others' opinions, or on external chaos, because they understand that reality is just a response, a natural consequence of the vibration being sustained. Thoth didn't say this as a metaphor. He revealed how the universe actually works, and centuries later, Nikola Tesla would reaffirm the same truth using scientific language. If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This is no coincidence, it's confirmation. But why didn't anyone tell us this? Why isn't this in school books? Because this law puts the power in your hands, and a human being who understands how their vibration shapes their reality is uncontrollable. They no longer live in reaction. They live with intention. And that kind of awareness is dangerous for systems that survive on collective alienation. Most people live completely disconnected from this truth. And that's why they keep recreating patterns of lack, pain, emptiness, day after day, without knowing why. They think life is random, that some people were born lucky and others weren't. But what really happens is that these people are vibrating unconsciously, not realizing that their frequency is like a silent command to the universe. You might be vibrating fear right now, even if you don't feel panic. You might be vibrating lack, even with money in your account. You might be vibrating rejection, even while surrounded by people. Vibration doesn't respond to what's outside. It responds to what's pulsing inside. It's subtle, it's constant, and it's powerful. When you start paying attention to this, something changes, because reality starts to make sense. You realize that it's not life punishing you. It's your vibration being mirrored. Everything that happens on the outside is just revealing what's being sustained inside. And that's when the game changes. Because if everything vibrates, and if vibration is what creates experience, then by changing your frequency, you change your reality. Not in a magical or automatic way, but in an inevitable way. Because this is a universal law. It doesn't depend on your faith, your religion, your past. It only depends on the vibration you consistently sustain. But be careful. Don't confuse this with empty, positive thinking. It's not about repeating nice phrases while your body screams the opposite. It's not about faking joy, gratitude, or peace. It's about truly sustaining the internal state that matches the life you want to live. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you vibrate. This is the foundation of the law of vibration revealed by Thoth. And from the moment you align with it, everything starts to move. Now, if you've understood up to this point that everything vibrates and that your life is a mirror of your frequency, then you've already taken a step beyond most people. But there's still one piece missing. Because knowing this is not enough. Real transformation begins when you clearly identify what you're vibrating right now. And that, almost no one knows how to do. You vibrate even without knowing it. True transformation begins when you clearly identify what you're vibrating at this exact moment. And that, almost no one knows how to do. You might be wishing for prosperity, visualizing abundance, saying wealth affirmations every day. But if, deep down, what's pulsing is fear of lack, if what runs through your body is anxiety, if your breath is stuck in your chest, if there's a silent tension that follows you even during your moments of relaxation, then what you're putting out is the opposite of what you want. Vibration doesn't align with what you think. It aligns with what you sustain. It's what you feel when you're alone, when your phone is off, when no one is watching. It's what pulses when you're not trying to appear strong, not trying to convince the universe that you're ready. It's what's left when the effort stops. And that is your real vibration. And here's where the big internal conflict begins. Because almost no one has learned to observe what they're vibrating. We were trained to think, argue, compare, compete, but not to feel. And feeling consciously is what reveals the actual frequency we're putting out. Because emotion is the key. Not just any emotion, but the one that's sustained as the background of your days. You might smile on the outside, make plans, keep going. But if the emotion riding with you is fear, scarcity, or resentment, then that's what's being recorded in your field. And that's what, on some level, you'll keep attracting. It's painful to realize this, but it's also liberating. Because once you understand that reality is only responding to what you're vibrating, you stop blaming the world, you stop waiting for miracles from the outside, and you start, silently and powerfully, to change from the inside. And here's the most overlooked detail. It's no use trying to vibrate something new for 5 minutes, and then spending the rest of the day vibrating fear, frustration, anger. The field is shaped by consistency, not isolated moments. The dominant vibration is built in daily life, in the little reactions, in the tone of your voice when you talk to someone, in your gaze when you face a challenge, in your silence when no one's watching. That's the field the universe recognizes, and that's why you might want love but feel unworthy of it, and attract rejection. You might ask for abundance but vibrate lack, and attract debt. You might want peace but live in internal war, and attract conflict. Because vibration doesn't respond to what you dream, it responds to what you sustain. And the more you ignore this, the more the same cycles repeat, until you realize it's not the world punishing you. It's you still emitting the field that creates that repetition. And that can be stopped, but only if you understand how emotion has become the secret language of your reality. Because it's what programs the frequency. It's what shapes the field. It's what activates every day, either repetition or creation. And if you've made it this far, it's because some part of you has already started to feel. And that's exactly why we now need to talk about something that almost no one connects directly: the state of your body. You might think you're just tired, that it's just built up stress, that your insomnia is because life's been hectic. But what you feel physically is a direct reflection of what you've been vibrating without realizing it. When the soul starts to scream, the body obeys, because the body is the first field to receive your energy. What no one tells you is that unresolved emotions don't just go away. They pile up, and over time, they create blockages. Dense vibrations like anger, hurt, guilt, fear, or prolonged sadness alter your energy field. And when that field gets sick, the body collapses. You can mask it for a while with meds, distractions, productivity. But sooner or later, the inner vibration starts to show up as symptoms. Sometimes as pain with no clear cause. Sometimes as hormonal imbalances, chronic anxiety, unexplained fatigue, autoimmune diseases. The name may vary, but the origin is always the same: vibrational dissonance. Thoth talked about this thousands of years ago. He called that mismatch between your internal vibrational state and your vital energy a rupture in the field of harmony. And when that field breaks, the body doesn't just get sick. It starts to attract external situations that match the imbalance you're sustaining. And modern science backs this up. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology show that negative emotions sustained over long periods weaken the immune system. They alter neurotransmitter production. They change how your gut, your skin, your sleep works. They even affect your gene expression. That's right. What you consistently feel can activate or deactivate genes. In other words, you literally build or destroy yourself vibrationally. And as hard as it is to hear that, it's a freeing truth. Because if the body is reacting to the vibrational field, then by changing the field, you change the body. Not instantly, but gradually. Because real healing never starts in the physical. It starts in the invisible. In the field you sustain. Pay attention to your symptoms. They're not mistakes. They're codes. Signals that some part of you is asking for a new vibrational pattern. Sometimes, pain is the last resort your energy finds to tell you that you've disconnected from yourself. And this state of disconnection isn't just discomfort. It's a silent way of living. A recurring pattern where you keep functioning, working, existing, but without vitality, without presence, without soul. You breathe, but don't feel alive. You speak, but don't hear yourself. You walk, but feel like something's been left behind. That's what happens when the body goes out of sync with the vibrational field you're meant to be sustaining. And the longer you ignore this disconnection, the more your body tries to alert you, through sensations, episodes, crises, not because it wants to punish you, but because it wants to save you. The body is not your enemy. It's the most honest vehicle of your soul. It doesn't lie. It feels, and it records. The invisible mirror. Reality reflects you. And from here on, the truth starts to take shape with even more clarity. Because if your body feels the vibration you emit, the entire universe feels it too. And that changes everything. Because reality, contrary to what we were taught, is not something fixed, rigid, or unchangeable. It's moldable. It responds. But not to what you ask for. It responds to what you vibrate. Imagine the universe as a silent mirror. It has no judgment, no preference. It doesn't choose between good or bad, right or wrong. It simply reflects. It shows you, with precision, what you're putting out. If your field is loaded with guilt, it gives you situations that reinforce that guilt. If you vibrate scarcity, it sends back obstacles that confirm the idea that nothing is ever enough. If you vibrate true gratitude, it responds with synchronicities, with flow, with doors opening where there were only walls before. It's like everything around you is just repeating the same message. You're creating this. And yes, that can be tough to hear. Because if it's true, then everything that frustrates you the most is also your own creation. But this isn't an accusation. It's a liberation. Because if you created something you don't want, then you can also create the opposite. What's missing is knowing how. Everything starts with a thought. But the thought alone isn't enough to generate a vibration. It's just the spark. It's when the thought turns into emotion that the frequency begins to form. And it's that sustained emotion that becomes your field. And that field is read by the universe as a silent request. Send me more of this. That's why the cycle is simple but powerful. Thought generates emotion. Emotion shapes the frequency. Frequency attracts reality. That's the process. And it's happening all the time, whether you're aware of it or not. And the scariest part is that most people live this cycle on autopilot, thinking what they've always thought, feeling what they've always felt, emitting the same vibration every day, and attracting the same situations. Wake up, work, complain, wait for relief that never comes, and at the end of the day, repeat it all, as if they're stuck in an invisible script written by someone else that's never been questioned. But that script isn't external. It's vibrating inside you. That's why changing your reality starts with an internal shift, not an external one. There's no point in changing cities, jobs, relationships, if your field keeps emitting the same frequency of scarcity, self-sabotage, or worthlessness. Because the universe will keep reflecting exactly what's being emitted. You'll carry the mirror with you, even if you change the scenery. This is the part almost no one gets, because we were raised to look for someone to blame out there. The crisis, lack of opportunity, toxic people, bad luck. But as long as your vibration goes unchecked, the mirror can only reflect the same image. You can even close your eyes, smash the mirror, try to ignore the signs. But the reflection won't change until you change the source of the signal. And this isn't punishment, it's precision. The universe is mathematically consistent. It doesn't fail. It doesn't get confused. It responds exactly to what you vibrate. And that response is what you call life. Now, for those who still believe everything is about destiny, this view might feel uncomfortable, because it requires responsibility. But at the same time, it gives you your power back. If life responds to your vibrational field, then you no longer have to wait for change. You can become the change. But for that to really happen, you need to recognize an even subtler, deeper, more dangerous factor. What's vibrating even without your permission? What was programmed inside you since childhood? What you don't even notice anymore, but that's still running like a hidden system. And that system might be sabotaging everything without you realizing it. And that sabotage doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. More precisely, from the most silent and powerful part of your mind, the subconscious. The subconscious is not a forgotten vault. It's the active core that controls most of your decisions, reactions, and especially your vibration. It's the one emitting the signal the universe picks up, even when you consciously want something else. And that's why sometimes you might be saying positive affirmations, meditating, trying to think differently. But reality stays the same. Because what gets broadcasted isn't what you say. It's what your subconscious believes to be true. And here comes the big trap. Most of the programming that shapes your energy field was installed during the first 7 years of your life. That was the period when your mind was most open, most receptive, most vulnerable to absorb everything it saw, heard, and felt as absolute truth. And what you lived through in that time is still vibrating now. If you grew up seeing scarcity, the subconscious learned that abundance isn't safe. If you were ignored when you showed emotions, it learned that opening up is dangerous. If you heard constant criticism, it got programmed that no matter how hard you try, it'll never be enough. And all of that, even if it seems distant, resolved, or in the past, is still being transmitted by your field. It's like trying to change routes with your GPS, but there's a hidden magnet pulling you back to the starting point. You spin, try, run, plan, but something always sabotages, always blocks, always pushes you back into the same cycle. And that something is the unhealed vibration of the subconscious. And the most curious part is that the subconscious isn't wrong. It's just trying to keep you safe. It doesn't distinguish between good or bad. It just understands that the known is safer than the new. So even if you want to grow, prosper, love, expand, if that's different from what you experienced in childhood, the subconscious might treat it as a threat, and it'll try to protect you by sabotaging you. The law of vibration. The formula revealed by Thoth. And this is exactly where the turning point is born. The conscious vibrational reset. You don't have to keep being a prisoner of patterns that were implanted before you even knew how to speak. There is a way to break this cycle, and it starts with a simple but extremely powerful combination: awareness and elevated emotion. Awareness is the moment you recognize the pattern. Elevated emotion is what you insert in its place, and this union creates a vibrational crack, an opening, a moment when the field can be reprogrammed. Because the subconscious learns through emotional repetition, not through logic, not through rational explanation, but through vibrational impact. So take a deep breath right now. Close your eyes for a few seconds and remember a moment when you truly felt alive. It could be an achievement, a hug, a moment of overcoming something. The size of the event doesn't matter. What matters is the frequency it activated in you. Now, slowly, bring that same emotion into the present moment. Activate the feeling as if what you most desire were already happening right now. Feel how your body would be, your posture, your breathing, your expression, and hold that for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes in that state is enough to shift the quality of your field. And if you repeat this every day, something begins to happen. Your subconscious, which was previously programmed just to survive, starts to learn that it's safe to thrive, that it's safe to relax, that it's safe to feel joy without guilt. Over time, this repetition builds a new vibrational foundation, and that new foundation starts to change the reality around you. This is the vibrational reprogrammer, and you've just received one of the most powerful tools of applied spirituality. But this is only the beginning. Because vibrating is one thing, sustaining the vibration is another. And what truly transforms isn't the emotional peak, Its coherence over time. And this is where Thoth's wisdom connects with all of this on an even deeper level. Thoth taught that nothing in the universe is still. Everything vibrates, everything pulses, everything responds to a frequency. This principle was recorded in the Kybalion as the law of vibration. And even though many treat this as something mystical or symbolic, it's a law as real as gravity. A specific frequency generates a specific reality. Period. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're in vibrational coherence with. If you want prosperity but vibrate in anxiety and scarcity, there's misalignment. The field doesn't respond to the wish. It responds to what's being emitted right now, in the present moment, in your real state of being. That's why instead of saying, "One day I'll be happy," you begin to vibrate, "I am happiness now." Instead of chasing love like it's something far away, you become love in every gesture, in every thought, in every silence. And that state of being begins to shape your surroundings. People change, doors open, situations reorganize, because the universe has no choice but to reflect what you are. But here comes a crucial shift. It's not enough to vibrate well for a few minutes and then get lost in the chaos of everyday life. Because the field is sensitive. It is moldable, yes, but it's also highly influenceable. And if you don't learn how to protect that new frequency, the old pattern can creep back in without you even realizing it. The vibrational collapse technique. Because protecting your vibration is like protecting the code that controls your reality. There's no point in accessing a high state today if you let it slip through your fingers in the next few hours. The field is like an antenna. It needs constant tuning. And this is exactly where many people fail. They vibrate high during meditation, but then go back to getting intoxicated with empty conversations, destructive content, messy environments, and unresolved emotions. And when that happens, the frequency fades away, like a perfume that evaporates. That's why protecting your vibration needs to become a ritual, a daily commitment to your inner state. Avoid people who constantly complain, who mock everything, who make fun of the sacred. Avoid places that make you uneasy, that weigh down your chest, that drain your energy with no logical explanation. That's not being overly sensitive. That's vibrational awareness. And your body feels what your mind hasn't figured out yet. Minimize the intake of information that reinforces fear, anger, or powerlessness. Sensationalist news, toxic social media, videos that only show tragedy, gossip, chaos. All of that fragments your field. You don't need to be disconnected from the world, but you do need to choose what enters your system. Every piece of content is a code, and every code shifts your vibration. On the other hand, there are simple and deeply effective ways to shield your field. Taking a shower in silence, with presence, walking barefoot on the earth, listening to uplifting music, making art even if no one sees it, watching the sky for 5 minutes without rushing, breathing with intention. These are vibrational anchors, simple acts that seal your field like an invisible armor. And when you make this a habit, the external world starts to lose power over your internal state. This is the secret of the initiated. They're not special beings. They're people who've learned to protect what they carry, to care for their own frequency like someone who protects a rare seed. Because a sustained frequency turns into solid reality. It reorganizes the world around you effortlessly, not by magic, but by coherence. And now, we've reached the most awaited moment. The vibrational technique that integrates everything you've received up to this point. A simple practice, accessible to everyone, but powerful enough to collapse the distance between what you want and what you're living. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Repeat this cycle 2 more times. This 4-4-4 breath creates a bridge between your automatic state and your creative state. It slows the nervous system and activates the field of presence. Next, bring an image to mind. A moment when you felt completely at peace, confident, abundant. It doesn't matter if it was yesterday or 10 years ago. Bring the scene in detail, the colors, the sounds, the sensation in your body. And now, let that feeling expand like a light inside of you. Feel it filling every cell. Hold this state for 2 minutes. Sustain it. Even if your mind tries to wander, bring your focus back. Vibration is formed through the repetition of emotion, not thought. And at the end, say clearly, I am the vibration of what I choose to live. This sentence isn't an affirmation. It's a vibrational command. You're telling the universe and your subconscious that this is the new frequency allowed in your field. Repeat this technique 3 times a day. Do it with full presence. It's not about quantity, it's about depth. In just a few days, your field will start to change. You'll begin to notice subtle shifts, people reacting differently, opportunities appearing, blocks disappearing. If you made it this far, it's because something inside you has already started vibrating differently. And that's no small thing. It's the first sign that your field is ready for real change. Now tell me in the comments, I am the vibration of what I choose to live. This phrase isn't just a comment, it's an energetic seal. Whoever writes it anchors this new vibration into the physical plane. And if you want to directly support this work and help spread more content like this around the world, there's a special link in the first pinned comment. And before you go, don't close this portal just yet. There's a special video waiting on the screen so you can continue this journey with me. Click it. That's where we go deeper and activate what was awakened here.